What's up with you? You know where you at. Gordon knows best. I'm your host, Kenneth Lavero Twain Gordon. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for joining in. Today is Testimony Sunday. We use this day to help uplift those who are struggling with things in their life, don't know what's coming around the corner because they've been having bad luck or things haven't been going the way they wanted to go. But I'm gonna be honest with you: when you have a relationship with God and you trust in what He's telling you, then a lot of those things will always be taken care of. And even the things that you really want to be taken care of, a lot of stuff is done in His time. Cause you want it don't mean that's what it needs to be. I'm not here to preach to you. I'm not gonna preach to you, but what I am gonna do is tell you my story. We won't be on this podcast all the time, and I'll be telling my story. We're gonna have guests that's coming on to tell their stories, and I'm quite sure you're gonna get something out of it, something that you can use in your everyday life. So let's just sit back, relax. I'm getting ready to relax and let me do my thing. Thank you. And before, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and then hit the bell notification. There's a bell notification, so anytime I upload videos, you guys will get it. And show your boy some love. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some love. Now let's start today's testimony. A lot of my friends, family wonder how and why I ended up in North Carolina. So before we get to the actual testimony, I have to paint the picture for you so you can understand where I'm coming from and where I'm at in my mind mentally. I was at a school called Laurinburg Institute, one of the top basketball programs in the country. I was a head coach, and what I decided to do was put myself to the test, and all the things that Coach Johnny Thornton out of Fort Pierce Central taught me. He was the head coach of our basketball team. I decided to use a lot of that stuff and become my own man, become the coach I felt like I could become. And the success was we won back-to-back state championships. We won back-to-back national championships. And then on top of that, we had some of the top players in America. I wasn't the only one. We had another program at our school, but all our programs on our campus was very much successful. But in 2006, I felt like the school disrespected me after this type of success that we brought to the program. Now, I have nothing negative to say about the school because they gave me my start. And to be honest with you, I had great times there. It was just this particular moment, this particular time, I felt like they disrespected me, and it was to the point where I had to leave. So before leaving, I decided, okay, let me go ahead on and start getting my schedule together for next year. So no matter where I went to go coach at, I was going to have my schedule prepared because it's good to do that stuff ahead of time, especially when you like us, we travel across the country. You know, we might be in Vegas one day, the next week we might be in Florida, the next week we might be in Montana. We travel like that because wherever the best competition was, that's what we was looking for. And so I was sitting home still trying to figure out exactly what school I was going to coach at. Mentally, I already knew where I wanted to go. I knew where I was going. They had offered me a job. I'm not going to name the school, but they had offered me a job. And so during the middle of the week, I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, me and my wife were sitting down talking. I said, you know what? They're going to have to bring some crazy out the sky for me not to take this particular job. And so I said, okay. I said, well, Friday, I make the decision. I make the announcement. And so what I did was I was still trying to complete my schedule. So I called this particular school called Milestone Prep. So I called Milestone Prep, and he left on his answer machine. He didn't answer the phone. So on his answer machine, he said something like, "This is Milestone Prep. This is Miles Clark, home of the defending national champions." And so I was like, "What?" I said, "Man, y'all ain't win no national championship. Why you got this false advertisement going out?" Because we had won the national championship. And I said, "Man, as soon as you get this message, you need to call me." I said, "Cause we got to play y'all. Since you see him making up championships, we definitely got to play y'all." So then, I guess not too long from that, he called me. He would call me, he would laugh. And I said, "Man, what you laughing at?" He said, "Your message, the message you left and how you sounded." I said, "Man, you sit here talking about y'all won the national championship, and I ain't even never heard of y'all." And, we just went back and forth. So he asked, because we trying to schedule, what school you going to be at next year? I said, "Well, I'm not sure. I'm going to make my decision on Friday." So he said, "You haven't made your decision yet?" I said, "But I'm going to make it Friday. I kind of know where I'm going." He said, "Can I pick you to be the head coach at my program?" And I was like, "What?" He said, "Can I pitch you to be the head coach at my program?" I said, "No problem." But I already knew where I was going. And me and my wife talked about it. I said, "You have to bring something crazy out the sky for me not to go to that particular program." So Miles knocked on my door, let's say 3 hours later, because he wanted to get it done that day. He knocked on my door. When he came to my door, he had on a hat, a faded out hat with some shades, and he had a shirt that had been washed a whole lot because it looked like it was blue, but you know how you might have washed it 1,000 times, and it might be blue, it might be some white. You can tell that the shirt is old. Then he had on some PE shorts from 1984. So if you went to school with me or you went to school in 84, y'all know the PE shorts that we used to have to buy from the bookstore to wear for doing PE. I'm telling you, they the exact same shorts. So he had that on with some flip-flops. So I want y'all to picture that. I want y'all to paint that picture. So I looked at my wife, and honestly, the Lord got me anyway. But other people that have been like, "Man, we ain't even finna let this dude in. You see how he look?" You didn't know if he was trying to borrow money, steal money. You didn't know what he was trying to do. You didn't know if he was on drugs, because that's what it looked like, to be honest with you. So he had a good talk game. So he came in, sat down, and we talked. And he was like, "Well, I got to school." He showed me the paperwork. Paperwork was legit. We looked up, all the state stuff, on the computer, whatever like that. I wasn't good at it, but my wife did. Everything was legit. So my questions was, how many students at the school? How many years you been doing it? This and that. He said, "Well, right now, I ain't got no students." I said, "You got a school and you ain't got no students? You got a athletic academy and you ain't got no students? What's going on?" He said, "No." I said, "So how much money do you have to run your program? How much money is invested?" All the money I had, I invested to get my paperwork done and to get everything done. That's what he said. So I said, "Okay, how are you going to pay me? You want me to come in to be your coach, but at the same time, how are you going to pay me?" He said, well, whatever we produce, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to pay you a salary. I want you to come in with me 50-50. I said, 50-50? He said, yeah. I said, let me ask you this. 50% of nothing is, let me guess, nothing. I said, so you want me to come in, basically bring in players, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But you don't have any money, so 50% of nothing is nothing. He said, yes, sir. He said, but you supposed to be Kenneth Gordon. I know you can make it happen. Now remember, I already knew where I was going. And I told my wife, the Lord would have to bring something crazy out the sky for me not to take that job. When Miles Clark came to my house, dressed the way he was dressed, I don't care what nobody say. That wasn't nothing but God. For him to come the way he was dressed, he didn't have nothing but paperwork. I know 99% of the people will have not decided to be the coach or administrator at Milestone Prep. I know that for a fact. But I'm that 1% that say, you know what? I'm going to show people. Now, fast forward, not only did I get the students, we get the players, we became one of the top teams in the country, but for a while we was able to eat. And when I say eat, the money was coming in and stuff like that. But when you deal with parents, at the beginning the money is good. Then after that, they stop sending their fees and they come up with excuses and things of that nature. But when you fall in love with the kid, this was my problem. When you fall in love with the kids and you know their story, you don't want to send them home. Now, realize my kids came from all over the country. Florida, California, New York, DC, Maryland, all over the country. My kids came from all over the country. And so to send them home in the middle of the end of the year just didn't make sense. And so I had to deal with what I had to deal with. So one day, season over. Now, by the way, I forgot to tell you, Miles, a month after we started the program, disappeared. I ain't heard from Miles Clark since we started the program. I never heard from him. And the crazy part about it, he had the accounts to everything. He had all the numbers to the bank accounts and the route numbers and everything. He ain't take nothing. He just left. Now, I read about him in some other places, but he never stole anything. Never stole anything. Even though he came to my house looking like he is still, he never stole anything, even though his name was on all the accounts. So, let me fast forward. It's the end of the season. My guys getting ready to, choose their colleges. We got college coaches coming in from all over the country. So one day, one of my players, Keyshawn Mays, got West Virginia coming in, University of West Virginia. At that time, I think that was Coach Huggins was the coach. He had sent his assistant coach down. I went to the house, because I ain't gonna lie, I had to use the bathroom. And I had to do a deuce. So I said, well, my house ain't that far down the street. So I left and went to the house. When I went to the house, I used the bathroom. I ran back out because, I got the coach coming in. And my van was gone. And to be honest with you, I saw it on a tow truck going down the street. my van got repoed. So here it is. I got kids staying in the house. This vehicle is used to take them back and forth, take my family where we need to go. It's an all-purpose van. And here it is, the van get repoed. So now I have to make a call because I got one or two players with cars. So I got to put my pride aside or put my feelings aside. I call one of my players, hey, come get me, man. Man, they just took my car. Now, mind you, parents ain't paying. But when the Lord called, he gonna figure it out. So my player comes and picks me up, take me to the gym so we can finish the workout, stuff like that. Kid had a great workout. Well, everybody who was there had a great workout. So it was great. At the end of the day, I think I had 6 or 7 guys that went Division One. Probably 90% of the guys ended up going to college. But guess what? I'm still in a bind because of, at the time, what I thought this is what the Lord wanted me to do, because he bought something crazy out the sky. And in a way, I'm questioning what I had done, but I'm also preparing for year 2, even though my car just got repoed and everything. So now, guess what I got to do? Even though I got my own program, I got my own school, now I have to get a job. So I got a job at Target, third shift. Target was about two and a half miles down the street from my house. So I was walking back and forth. I walk to work. Players would come get me for workouts or whatever we had going on, because we still had to make sure that these guys signed and got in college. So one particular night, and I know the story going long, I ain't mean for it to, but forgive me. One particular night, one of my players came by. He said, Coach Gordon, you need a ride to work? I was like, yeah. And he said, all right, I'm going to come by. I'll be here probably about, I think I had to be to work at 10. He said, I'll be here at 9:30 and I'll drop you off at work. So he came by, dropped me off at work. So the next morning I got off. This when everything started. I got off of work, walked outside. It was raining cats and dogs. Y'all know how it is in Florida. Y'all know how it is. It was raining cats and dogs. I'm talking about, it was raining hard. And at the same time, I was having some feelings about what was going on, what I was going through, what I was not just putting myself through, but putting my family through. And I did it because I knew God was telling me to do it. That's the frustrating part. And so I walks out the store and I'm like, I'm going to wait till it stopped raining. But then something came over me and said, no, take that walk. Take that walk. So here it is. I'm on my journey back home and it's raining cats and dogs. And I'm sitting here talking to the Lord. Lord, are you serious? You really got me going through this? And I'm obeying you. I'm listening to what you're telling me to do. I had her sitting in the kids' room. We still feed them. The family is suffering. But we had it a way where they don't have to worry about it because I'm acting normal as if I had $1 million in my pocket. This is the conversation I'm having while I'm headed home. I'm having this conversation with God. But I'm not crying like I am now. I'm just emotional talking to him like, am I really going through this? And so just be patient with me. So I finally get to the house. I told you it was raining cats and dogs. And so I'm just draining. I'm dripped down wet. So I walk in the house. My wife said, "We in case call." I said, "We in case?" I said, "We in case? Who is that?" She said, "It's a coach, so we in case call." And so I take my clothes off. And I'm sitting here thinking, who is we in case? Who is we in case? And so when I thought about it, I was like, oh, Win Case is a coach that had come down, let's say, 2 or 3 years prior. And he was looking for players. And when he walked in the gym, I probably had about 20 Division I players in the gym. And I remember him saying, "Coach, man, this is the most talent I've ever seen in my life. Because North Carolina got that basketball talent." And so I now remember who he is. So I called him. He was like, "Coach Gordon, man, I just took the job at this school in Oklahoma. And if you don't come with me to be my assistant, I'm not going to take it." Now, just like I said it, that's how he said it. He said, "I took a job, but I'm not going to take it if you don't come." So I was like, well, man, I just started my school here. I don't see no path with me coming to you in Oklahoma. I remember one of my kids, LA, he called me, he said, "Coach Gordon," he said, what's the name of the, I had told him about it or whatever. He said, "What's the name of the school?" I said, "Redlands." He said, "Well, that's one of the top junior colleges in the country." At that time, I had never really dealt with junior colleges or whatever like that, but they players go D1, stuff like that. I hadn't thought about that. To be honest with you, I didn't want to go, even though I'm dealing with my car got repoed. We was having financial problems, but at the same time, still got to take care of these kids that parents who sent them here for me to take care of them. I still had to do that, even though they wasn't paying their part of the tuition. Some of them were, a lot of them wasn't. But I had already made a pact with the kid because my number one priority, all right, Lord, this is what you wanted me to do. We're going to get through it. And so at the end of the day, Coach Case called me again. "Coach Gordon, I need you, man." I said, "Man, I only got one son. He gonna need his daddy. And I got 4 girls. I mean, I can't do it." He called me back. He said, "Guess what, Coach? I found a homeschool for him. So we're gonna let him go to homeschool. He can come down here with you." So then I said, "Well, Coach K, man, I can't pay to live there and live here." I said, "Because I'm not going to bring my family the first year." He hung up the phone. Next day, he called me back. He said, "Coach, you ain't even got to worry about housing. We're going to pay for your housing. We're going to give you a 5-year contract, this and that, blah, blah, blah." So then I was like, man, no. Excuse me. I was like, well, y'all probably ain't paying enough because assistant coaches don't make. I said, "How much assistant coaches make?" He told me what they make. I say, man, I need 3, 4 times more than that to come down there and coach. When I got my own program here, he called me back. He said, Coach, we got you this amount of money. I was like, dang, everything I did, and I'm going to be honest with you, I did not want to go. But everything I tried to do, everything I tried to say, Coach Case made it happen. So I talked to my wife. I said, but the Lord wanted me to start the school. But she also said that maybe the Lord also wants you to do something else. So at the end of the day, I finally called Coach Case back, and I told him, all right, Coach, I'm going to take the job. I'm going to take the job. What I didn't know was, soon as I said yes, I started getting paid. Even though I still had my school, I started getting paid, so now I was able to handle all the financial responsibilities at home and to finish the school year out with the players. And of course, when I got to when Coach Case flew me out to Oklahoma to see the campus, to see where I'd be staying at, and things of that nature. And then, of course, I would bring some of the top players in the country with me. It was just a blessing. And that's what the Lord wanted me to do. That's how I ended up in Oklahoma, because I came here to take a college coaching job. And on top of that, I reopened my school because Miles did take all the right steps to open this program. And so when I got to Oklahoma, I reopened my program because I still couldn't put away that that's what the Lord had wanted me to do. That's a testimony. Sorry that I ended up getting emotional. I hope you guys can forgive me. But, real men cry sometimes, real men cry sometimes. So I just hope that you guys understand, that you guys, like and subscribe. All my episodes would not be like this. Today it just got a little, out of hand. Nothing was scripted. But I just wanted to give you this testimony because hopefully it'll help you in the long run. But thank you. Gordon Sports Academy. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and the bell notification. We out.